Hello there, Cancer. Thank you so much for stopping by for your What's Going On in Your World spread today. We're just going to check it out, see what shows up. We're going to look at what's going on in your world, then we're going to look at what is best to navigate it, I think. We'll see what shows up. That's what I'm shooting for. And then we'll look at if there's anything else that Spirit wants to tell us about what's going on in your world and how to navigate that situation. Okay, so we're going to do 4 cards for what's going on in your world. By the way, if you want a private reading, if you have other questions that you would like to have answered, feel free to reach out to me. All my contact information is on my website, and there's nothing I love more than reading. So let's do it to it. All right. So what's going on with you? Let's go through your cards first, and then we'll actually dig into the meaning. First of all, we have the Fairy Wind, and I am using the Enchanted Forest Tarot today. So we start off with the Fairy Wind. That's a pretty nice card, actually. 5 of Spells coming up in reverse. And by the way, we don't flip out about reversals on this channel. They do not necessarily even mean anything any worse than a right side up card. And then the third card is Starlight. Isn't that a pretty card? I hope you guys can see some details there. And then the last one, the last one is called The Folly in this deck. You can see that it's very similar to a Tower card in another deck. And then for navigation cards, let's just run through them really quickly too. Navigational cards, we have the 9 of Visions in reverse. We also have the 2 of Visions, also in reverse. Seeker of Visions, also in reverse. And Suspension, or the man suspended in amber, also in reverse. Right side up, he looks like this. Okay, so let's break these down for what this means. You start off with a really positive card that, what are they calling it here? The Fiery Wind would be like the Chariot in another deck, and it talks about moving forward almost seamlessly, almost effortlessly, just moving forward, making good progress. The 5 of Spells in reverse talks about there's really not any competition for you. Like whatever this is about in your life, and I'm sure you'll figure that out more as we go through this, but wherever this is, that you're moving forward effortlessly almost, not perfectly, but somewhat effortlessly, mostly effortlessly, there's nobody else that can compete with you. Okay? So whether if this is in a relationship and we're talking about, your significant other, nobody else even comes close to touching their heart. If this is a job and you're going for a raise or a promotion, I should say, then nobody else comes close to you with your quality of work or whatever. But you are doing amazing with this Fiery Wind. And with the 5 of Spells right behind it saying that there's no competition, that's a really nice combination. Starlight really tells me that you know what you want to accomplish. So this is not only having the Chariot, but this is pointing the Chariot in the right direction, being very definitive, very intentional about what way you're moving. So all of this is kind of a surprise to come to the Folly card. So when I look at this and I look at the other 3 cards, it kind of makes me think of, there was an old Sesame Street thing that, I don't know, most of you probably won't remember, but they would put 4 pictures up on the screen, and maybe 4 of those would be bouncing balls, and then the 5th one might be an elephant. And they would sing about, which one of these things doesn't belong? I don't remember the whole song. But anyway, you were supposed to figure that out. This, like out of these 4 cards, this card doesn't belong in this picture. Everything else we had is really good. So as I'm looking at this, I think what we have going on here is that I think there's something that you're going for, whether that's the promotion, whether that's telling somebody, you know what, if we're going to have a relationship, I want it to be a serious one, not just this casual thing. There's something that you're going for, and you have a lot of clarity about what you're going for here. And honestly, there's no competition. There's nobody else that does whatever this is you want to take to the next level better. I think the tower here, I think it's aptly named the folly. I think that the folly is that somebody else sees all of this that you're putting out, and they're like, this isn't the direction that I want to go. This isn't what's going on. And so I think that's a major shakeup, and almost like a reality check, maybe a hard stop reality check too, with it being the tower here. There are other ways we could see a reality check that would not be as jarring as the tower. But before I leave it there, those of you who have watched me for a long time, you know this, but for the rest of you, I am going to say the tower is always just the beginning of the story. So when we have a shakeup like that, it's usually because we're getting super comfortable with the situation and we're not really growing anymore, or we're in a situation where we're not allowed to grow anymore. And so that tower can come down to allow us to move forward into something where we can actually grow and expand. And actually, even with these cards, you may be the one kicking the tower down or going through this folly, because I think, no, I don't think you're kicking it down, because it's named folly, I think somebody else is. But I think that it works out being a good thing for you in the long run. When you see how much somebody appreciates you or doesn't appreciate you, then you can assess your situation in an honest manner and figure out, where can I go that somebody would appreciate me more? Or am I happy where I am? With this tower, you're not happy where you are. With this folly, I mean, you're not happy where you are. I mean, I'm really hearing stuff that's like, it's along the lines of, that idiot didn't even see like all the great things that I'm doing for this company, or maybe even for them. But I'm hearing different versions of that story. So this may be playing out in different parts of your lives. But I think you're realizing somebody didn't appreciate everything that you were doing, and you were doing pretty darn good. We can see that from the first three cards. So this is kind of a wake-up call, I think. Now, best way to navigate this situation. Don't wait around. Don't wait around in this place. Okay? It's this Nine of Coins in reverse kind of tells me that you were hoping for a situation that gave you more provision, money, better benefits, something, more provision. It's time to recognize you haven't exactly even been happy in the place that you are. You started off happy there, but not lately. And with this Secret of Visions in reverse, a part of why you're not happy there is because they don't show you appreciation. And when I say show you appreciation, if this is a situation with a company or with an employer of some kind, whether it's a sole proprietor, a big company, whatever, appreciation can very easily be pay. That's one way of somebody showing their appreciation for you, is by paying you well, paying you what you're worth, paying you right, paying you correctly. If you're in a situation where tips are a part of the arrangement, when people pay you a tip, then you know that they appreciate you. They appreciate the work you've put in. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of appreciation here with that page of, or Seeker of Vessels in reverse. And then this last card, this card is almost as dramatic as the Tower. It doesn't look it because you've got some amber here, but when it comes up in reverse, this is taking quick action. And it basically is saying, you know what to do. And it's right underneath the folly. So when the folly happens, you already know what to do. And this is not waiting a while, trying to melt the amber before you get out and do something. No, this is breaking through this amber and letting it be a whole bunch of little chunks on the ground while you get out of your little stuck position and get some clothes on and get your happy little self somewhere else where you can be appreciated. Because these people, They're not going to be appreciating you. And I really think that this folly showing up is them letting you know. I think maybe until this happens, you might be like, I'm very appreciative where I am. I do a very good job. How could I not be? That's what I think you could be saying. And it wouldn't surprise me because the Cancers that I know are very hardworking and very good at what they do. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's not what you're saying at the time that you see this reading. And then before a week or two goes by, then you're like, oh my gosh, that chick was right. I'm great at what I do, but they don't recognize it. Okay? So the biggest part of this advice is to acknowledge that you haven't been super happy here anyway and allow yourself the freedom to break out of there. Let's see if there's anything else Spirit wants to say about this reading. Oh, whoa. 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 Okay. The huntsman. This is like the supervisor or the person in charge. Somebody who has some kind of authority over you. The oldest one. They're not very committed. They're not very committed. They would rather have you wishing that you had more resources because they think you wishing that you had more resources is going to keep you around and keep you more agreeable to whatever overtime they want you to work or, anything else, really, really pushing it for the bonuses if there's bonuses in your workplace. This person is not committed to doing things right or to being fair, paying people what they really deserve. And so if that doesn't just put the nail in the coffin about where you are right now, I don't know what else could. Because we've already seen you don't really care for working there anymore, even though you started out really being happy to have the position. But you're really good at what you do now. You've got some experience there, and you can take that experience with you and get higher pay somewhere else. These people aren't gonna suddenly realize, oh man, my Cancer people are so valuable. I just have to have them. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll give them a reasonable wage of pay. They're not going to go there. Okay. So, I mean, this is probably not the most positive reading that we could hope for. Let's be straight. My deal with Sacred Spirit has always been that when I read that the highest and best good comes through. And so sometimes things like this used to come through when I first started back in 2012, 2013. And I would be like, how is this for somebody's highest and best good? But what I've come to understand is it's the truth that makes us free. Because when you know about these things ahead of time, you can prepare for them. And you can make sure that you've got some kind of backup plan, somewhere where you can fall, somewhere where you can bounce back to. So that this doesn't become like a devastating surprise or something. Okay? So I don't want this to be a devastating surprise. I do want you guys to plan ahead to recognize what's going on and plan ahead for yourself so that you can make sure that you get into a better situation than what this one actually ends up panning out to be, which involves some proactiveness. This is not one of those tarot readings where you just sit there and listen and you go, oh, that sounds really good. This is one that's going to take some action, because when that folly happens, it's not time to sit around and let that folly happen again and again and again and again. Okay? It's time to get out of there. It's time to break free. And this card, when it comes up like this in reverse, no delays, no procrastination, break free. And it came up right underneath our folly card. So as soon as somebody tells you, look, you're not getting that position, okay, I'm out. I'm out. That's when you start putting out resumes. If you haven't already, I think after seeing this reading, if I was you, I'd start putting out resumes. That way, whenever this folly happens, if I'm right, you've got a place to go. All right? So that's what I've got. And I do hope seriously that you find it helpful. Of course, if you would like a private reading, you can find all my information on the tab, like I said earlier, or on the website at the top of the page, I mean. And I wish you all a very good, prepared, effective, and productive week. Peace.